The brethren, they told me, Dan, we are so happy to have you, Pastor. Please come with us tomorrow because we are going to celebrate birthday. I have never celebrated birthday. We don't celebrate birthday back home. So I went with them 4 o'clock. They said, we'll go. You hold the flower and we will sing. You stand on the door. Very dark in the morning. I'm also dark. And so they gave me the flower. I stood on the door. And as they were singing the celebrant, he heard, he knows. So he put on the lights and he's coming down. Stood on the door and, to make it a little bit funny, opened my eyes. And when she opened the door, she freezed for a while. And she screamed. Ghost, running back inside the house. She almost collapsed. If she died, it would not be my fault. I was so angry to be called a ghost. But she said, she apologized, I'm so sorry. I didn't expect. This was his first time to see a black person on her birthday, early in the morning, on her door. She said, but I'm so sorry, but anyway, this is a very handsome ghost. So I decided to contextualize in missionary contextualization. I decided to make myself a little bit lighter. So I bought pants. Because people are so scared. I went to one place in Panama. They equate black with ghost. They have ghosts, they call them Agda. I didn't know. That's why the brother told me, Dan, you know what? Ayaw paglakala ko kung gabi. Don't walk at night. Why did I mistakenly be Agda? Wow. So I decided to make my skin a little bit like every morning pants. After 2 months, someone told me, Dad, what's wrong with your face? Here black, here white, here black, and you look like a zebra. You know what the Bible says? The Bible says, can an Ethiopian change his color? The Bible says that. I said, oh Lord, I'm not going to change my color. Because actually I cannot. You know what many Ugandans do? They want to be light, so they make their face look nice, look light. But the cosmetics are so expensive, so only face, but their legs still black. And when you change, you have no more cosmetics, the color will come back very ugly. It will never be as it was. So I stayed with my color. Would you go in such a place where people laugh at you? You know, by the way, it's very embarrassing. Someone look at you and laugh. But God sends you there. I say, Lord, I think God has a sense of humor. Why would you send me in such a place where there are places that have foreigners? Why not Korea? Or why in this place where kids are scared of me? But God sends you. When you obey God's will, no matter where you are, you will be happy. I challenge you to follow the will of God. And God's greatest will for you is that you will build your family. Let me tell you something. Recent research from the General Conference shows there are many people who have left the church, who have lost courage, they don't attend anymore. Do you know most of the reasons are associated with family? What does this mean? It means that in these last days, the devil has put all his attack on the family. Why? Because the family is the foundation of God's kingdom. No family, no society, actually no heaven. Ellen White says in her book, the family is the first test of heaven. Your family, your house determines the destiny of your life. Your heaven begins down here within your family. the devil has put so much attack on the family. This requires so much courage and strength to work against the ways of the devil and to build your family. And it's very challenging. In fact, I didn't want to talk about family because me, myself, I'm struggling with my family. When they ask me to talk about family, I don't like to lecture about family. I want to listen only. Because when she told me talk about family, I remembered how long it has been that we don't have family worship in my house. Because time when I used to worship at 5 o'clock, when we got a baby, everything was out of shape. My wife looked at me because when the baby arrived from the hospital, he cried all night. We did not sleep. All night I thought, what is this? Is this a blessing from heaven? All night. So we took shift. My wife stayed up until 12. I stayed awake from 12 to morning before going to class. And then very early, I have to dance the baby every Sabbath. My baby is so stubborn that if you sit, she gets angry. If you stand, she gets angry. She wanted to be dancing around like this. So I dance around every Sabbath. And I stopped every 5 o'clock time to pray and to worship. The baby cries, wah, wah. My worship schedule was disrupted. Our family worship was disrupted. We didn't know what time to worship now. We are struggling. It's very hard. So stressed. And as I walk, somebody made me and say, Pastor, I saw you dancing every Sabbath. It's not good. You are an Adventist, you should not dance on Sabbath. I said, I'm not dancing. I'm just putting my baby to sleep. He said, no. Have you read the book, Child Guidance, right? Child Guidance by Ellen White. I was afraid to tell him that I have read that book twice before having a baby. When the baby came, nothing of those things worked. Everything they said, all the things we read on that night, we asked Google, what should we do? Tap the baby, we tap the baby. Nothing happens. What should we do again? Do this. Everything we tried, nothing worked. But on Sabbath, there was an old man. He was having his grandchild, very stubborn also. I felt sorry for him. He saw me dancing my baby. He's also moving out his child. Very stubborn. He was so stressed. He came and he saw me. He looked at me and he whispered and said, brother, this work is very hard. That is the best comfort I have ever had. Not to tell me to read books and to what. You know how many books I've read? This work is very hard. A man on his birthday, after around 20 years in his marriage, on his 20th anniversary, he leaves his bedroom and sits on the sitting table, holding his head while crying. His wife is surprised. Honey, today is our 20th anniversary. You should be happy. The man cries and says, you know what, honey, today is the 20th year since we got married. You remember 20 years ago? When your daddy caught us kissing at the back of the car? And your daddy said, you either marry my daughter or you go to prison for 20 years. And you remember how I decided to marry you. If I had gone to prison today, I would be a free man. But because I married you, I put myself in prison. Lifetime prison. Ellen White calls marriage, it is a lifetime yoke. That's why he encourages all who want to get married. Be very watchful and careful and prayerful. Because as you step into marriage, you are stepping into life imprisonment. And you are stepping into something that will determine whether you have a happy life or a sad life. Something that will determine the destiny of your life, not just the life in this world, but also in the life to come. That's why she said, think first, work with your parents, because they are so experienced. They have made so many mistakes. Learn from them and ask, Mama, I am already in love. What should I do? Not to be taken by the feelings and passion and hormones and what, but a careful planning. Those who are not yet married. For those who are married, you have no more choice. You have to build.
Kuya natin, no more choice.
How to build your family? Jesus said, and I'll read this and I'm done.
I have no choice.
He said, by the way, Ellen White says some many good things. Now, for those who are contemplating marriage, I advise you to read Adventist Home. Ellen White shares some very wonderful counsels. I read it while coming here on the plane, and so many beautiful things to make a beautiful home. She shares how to find a right person. And when I read this, wow, I did not read them before marriage. I should have read them before marriage. So, Jesus said, listen to this, Matthew chapter 7, verse 24, therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built a house on the rock. All of us need to intentionally build a house. With fighting in prayer, this is very hard. And with so much faithfulness, and where do we build? We build our house on the rock, Jesus. Ellen White says, a life that is in Christ is a life of completeness. To build your house on Jesus, it means, in those days, house meant life. Your house is your life. So to build your house on Jesus, it begins by building your own life on Jesus. It simply means trying your best to put into practice the teachings of Jesus. To strive to live like Jesus. To strive to be like Jesus. To strive to do what Jesus Christ tells you to do. Because as a father, as a mother, the more you become more like Jesus, the more you influence your family to be more and more like Jesus, you open your house for Jesus. If you don't get married, before you can think about marrying, marry Jesus first. Because you will never love somebody if you don't love Jesus. The first love begins with loving Jesus, being in a relationship with Jesus. And to know someone that you will love, it is somebody who loves Jesus. That this person, if I marry her, she will lead me to grow towards heaven. To grow towards being useful in the society. He will help me to make my gift and my talents very useful, and he will help me to grow also in relationship with God, relationship with business, and things that everyone shares. Building your house on the rock. And this is a work that God invites all of us to do by His grace. My marriage is not an easy marriage. It is an intercultural marriage. And for those of you contemplating intercultural marriage, you have to think so much. It is not easy. So I saw my daddy, I admire my daddy because he is a king in the house. He comes back from work and sits. He has a chair. No one sits in the chair of Papa. You sit in it, you will be punished. He has a special plate. No one uses that plate. He has a cup. The fish, the head is for Papa. He comes from work, he sits, reads newspapers. What does Mama do? Mama goes to the kitchen and puts in fire and everything. That's why you look at my Mama's hands. They're all rough. Papa's hands, they're all smooth. He's never been in the kitchen. If you want massage, we ask Mama. Scratch my face. Scratch my face. Something smooth, Papa. Mama prepares. And Daddy brings the food on the table. And then Daddy eats. As he eats, Mama sits down. My husband is eating. after eating, takes the plates, puts water in the bathroom. Papa goes there and Ligo comes back and Mama cleans up. The father is a king. That was my mentality of marriage. Then lo and behold, I married a Filipino. I didn't know. But in the Philippines, it is the opposite.
Correct.
I knew when it was too late.
The queen. The queen.
During the pandemic, wala trabaho. Only my wife has work. Do you know in Andrews, many African families separate? Because when the couple goes to Andrews, all of them have to work to survive. But when they come home, the husband still wants to be an African husband. But the wife is so tired. He has to cook, take care of babies, and take care of the... He's just seated. No. We break up. Many do break up. So I had a choice to back out. But in the Philippines, you cannot divorce. I tell you. So we remain together. During pandemic, she has work. I have no work. We have one kid, very baby. I have no choice but to take care of the baby. This is one of the most embarrassing moments. During pandemic, I almost died. You know what? I could have not done it. She woke up in the morning, honey. Good morning, honey. I'm going to work. Don't forget the diapers. And also, prepare. You have to cook because I'm at home. And African men don't do that. So I had a choice to back out or to become a foolish African man. I decided to become a foolish African man. Why? Because I love Jesus. And I want to have a happy family. I took selfie. You know what I do in the morning? With my baby. Whole day. Whole day. My baby. Change diapers. And then prepare, go to YouTube, how to cook noodles and what, and prepare. My wife comes home. I took selfie and put on Facebook. My African friends said, "Are you crazy? Are you an African man?" I said, "No, now I am an African woman." You know that. Until my baby grew up. But you know what happened? I realized that this brought so much joy in my family. Because back at home, a woman becomes like a slave. There is no love. It is just a slave. A woman is just working. Why? Because back home, a woman is very expensive. I will share this tomorrow for my finishing. I have to save my stories for tomorrow. But I realize that the more I get involved, not only my own work, I work with my wife, I help my wife, it brings so much happiness in our home. And I decided to put aside my culture to build my family. Right now, my wife loves me so much. She says, I am the best African in the world. And then, as Africans, we have polygamy in our minds.
Polygamy.
So, when I got my wife, I said to myself, I must be faithful to my wife. These are commitments. You make your own commitments. I made my own commitments. Why? I want to live a Christ-centered family. Why? Because family is a source of our happiness. Your family determines whether you'll be happy or whether you'll be stressed throughout your life. So you can build the source of your happiness. That's why I says a family is a little heaven on earth. So everywhere I go, I told myself, my wife is the most beautiful woman in the whole world. Of course, there are many beautiful women, right? But I have to tell my mind. I see somebody can have guapa. No, my wife. Something hey, my wife. God. I go to the hotel, book hotel. There are big hotels where people got some new you want massage? When I get in the room, the first thing I do, I put picture of my wife on the table. Said, you want massage? You got picture of my, excuse me. The picture of my wife. I put picture of my wife in my wallet. When I'm traveling, I look at my wife. Why? Because I want to have a happy family. It is a commitment. And, you know, let me finish up with this. We were in the house at Mountain View College. I was 4 o'clock, I'm having my devotion. And as I'm having my devotion, 4 o'clock, there is this the TV and this cup, the one where you put the TV on, right under